So welcome to the channel. To go and kind of give a brief introduction of everything, I had taken about 10 years of hiatus away from playing golf. I had a couple injuries, different life decisions, choices, events, so on and so forth. That caused some injuries, and I wasn't allowed to really get on the course because of either employment, occupation, or again, injuries, time, bunch of other stuff. Well, it's been 10 years. I'm itching to get back out on the course to go and experience it just like everybody else. I was a 9 handicap when I stopped playing, and now I'm trying to get back into it. No clue where I really stand. I've changed some things in my bag. I still plan on changing some of it. So without further ado, let's go and break into what's inside my bag currently and things that I'm subjecting to change as time goes on. So the big thing that everybody wants to know is, what's the big dog? What's your driver? You know, the club that you're going to be hitting the furthest, and so on and so forth. Currently, I am running the Cleveland Altitude 588 in 9 degree. I used to play the Launcher DST. I had it semi-fitted for me. I saw the Cleveland Classic came out, and I thought, hey, I really want to try out an adjustable driver. I started out with the Quad Pro. It should be a pretty good comparison with the larger 460cc head. Actually, I think it was 440, but you know, don't hold me to that one. It didn't quite work out for me. It was very unforgiving, very hard to hit. But because I traded in my launcher, I had to find the next best thing. At the point, they had the Altitudes on clearance. I bought it, which it became another love-hate relationship that I regret. The shaft on this one, as well as the head itself, is a very high spin setup for people that need assistance getting more spin, the ball up in the air at a distance. It doesn't quite work for me. It does its purpose on being able to poke the ball out there. Still roughly about 250, 260 with rollout. I honestly need to get my driver adjusted and fit it for a new one so I could actually start really getting that control, getting the distance out of it. But currently, running the Altitude. Let's talk fairway woods now. I currently run 2 sets of fairway woods, depending on what the course is or how I'm currently swinging. So I have the Cleveland Launcher FL 3 woods. Yes, I did say plural on that one. I am running 2 3 woods. One is a high launch at 17 degrees and the other one is a standard 15 degrees. I did that as a little bit of an experiment to have same shaft length, same shaft, same kick, flex, torque, everything to it, to try to get the performance of both. And the bridging of the gap wasn't too bad at about 15 yards. These are excellent at hitting high and straight. So if I just need to really smack one out there and get it to a kick and a dog leg or something, or get it relatively close to the green, these fairway woods are perfect for that on me. Reduce that in distance. I'm currently also running, this is what's predominantly in my bag, the Wilson Staff Firebirds. I'm running your standard 15 degrees for a 3 wood and your 18 degrees for the 5 wood. These don't go as far as the launchers, but these actually have better turf interaction from hitting out of the rough, as well as I have a lot more shot shape and control with these. I did reshaft this one to the Graphiloid Pro Launch Blue, whereas I left this one as the Pro Force V2. This keeps the ball at a good trajectory in flight to really gain the height and punch out of it that I need, but I still have absolute control over it that I could be aggressive. This one I could swing a little bit easier and really get the ball up in the air higher than I did with the V2 that was in it, just so I could actually get that distance, as well as I gain a little bit of forgiveness on I don't have to be as hard and aggressive to do it. Both of these still are amazing shot shapers, though they are about 15-20 yards shorter than my launchers depending on conditions. I used to play the Cleveland CG Tour Black Pearl irons. So for a good while I was running Players cavity backs. It's not that I couldn't hit them, it's not that I had necessarily any issues with them. They are a bit dated. They also eat golf balls. Unfortunately, it's too expensive to keep replacing golf balls on every single hole when a 7-iron is eating the cover off of it. So Cleveland doesn't offer any player's irons anymore or player's distance. That's all transition Strixon. I went to the next best thing. I went back and forth between whether I wanted to play the ZX7, which would have been most comparable to my Cleveland's, or with the ZX5, the player's distance. It's been 10 years. I wanted that little bit of added forgiveness, and I spent probably the better half of 2 hours in a Pro Golf discount smacking the hell out of them. I really liked the feel a lot more out of the 5 than I did the 7, and that extra, on occasion, 5-yard difference to 15-yard difference is very confidence inspiring for me to know that if I do miss hit it a little bit more towards the toe, which is my general miss, I actually can sustain that distance versus losing yardage because lack of forgiveness. The spin on the 2 were pretty negligible in difference. I'd say about 200 RPM. To me, it doesn't matter when you're getting that close in RPMs because that's consistency differences within shots. Wedges. So this one's a little bit of an experiment. I went with the CBX zip cores to try to get a little bit of touch forgiveness as well as that same feel weighting of your standard Cleveland wedges. I just wanted my 50 degree to have a little bit more forgiveness to it because 50 degrees can be one I would be doing a lot of full shots with. Also, I still like the control around the greens with opening the face, bumping runs, trying to shape the chip and pitch a little bit more. Just the 50 degree I'm running the CBX in. I'm running a 54 and a 60 degree RTX 4 wedge. Standard bounce right now. I used to run low bounce because I started playing golf with a 588 wedge, and I kind of held a bias with Cleveland since. I can't find any other wedges that have the same feel and weight that matches it. It's not that I really haven't tried other wedges. I didn't like the TaylorMade racks when they were running those. I didn't like the Volky that I had for a while. I liked the weight, felt heavier, but I just didn't like the feel off of the face, let alone I didn't feel like I had the control as similar as I did with Cleveland. Their sole grinds were a little bit different. So currently I'm running a 60 degree and a 54 degree RTX. Now let's toe and touch on the flat stick. I am currently running a Wilson Staff Infinite Buckingham mallet putter. This is gonna be the first mallet putter I've ever ran since I started playing golf. Originally it was always ping answer style or answer wedges. Everybody wanted Scotty Cameron. I felt my flat stick was kind of inconsistent, and I've always been eyeballing mallet putters ever since the Spider came out. I understand this is more or less a knockoff of a Spider without the weights in the back. There's a couple differences with this one that's going to be interesting for me to start with. For one, it is my first mallet putter. It's also my first really thick grip. At some point I might consider changing it out. I don't know, it depends on how things play. This is going to be an interesting start after not playing for 10 years to have an entire new setup for a putter. This is the original putter that I was running for the longest time. This is a Costner Ping Answer 2. I did swap the grip out for the Slim Ping. Yes, I understand it's the same one that Tiger Woods runs. I got to give him credit on the fact that the really slim grip to it gives you fantastic feel and feedback on every single hit. So going to the mallet putter with the big, I'd say it's comparable to a Super Stroker grip, is kind of interesting on how it feels in the hands, but hopefully it kind of helps with the issues I do have with hands. Now that we've got the whole club selection covered, let's go and move into what's actually inside the bag. To start out with, probably what I think is one of the most important things in my bag personally, swing weight. I always have a swing weight with me or in my bag just for warming up and loosening up. Especially as injuries have come on over the years, my back starts to get stiff pretty quick. and this is really easy to go and help loosen up. There's dual purposes to this other than trying to loosen up muscles. It also helps out if you really want to crank out a drive. You over swing to underswing. Throw it on your driver, take a good 5 to 10 really strong hard swings with it, and then take the weight off and then swing easy. It gives you that same sensation of swinging one of the weight swing trainers into trying to just hit your normal drive. Second most important thing in my bag, notepad. Always have a notepad with you. I can't really emphasize a whole lot on if you want to improve your game, you have to take notes. It is very important on many different aspects. If I'm playing courses that are pretty local or consistently frequent, I will actually take down notes of yardages as well as where my miss hits normally go. I have a pretty consistent fade with my driver and my woods. So I will always mark down on certain holes notes to keep track of if I'm going to be going too close to a bunker, if I need to avoid certain yardages, if I have to push it over a waste pit or something. I always mark that stuff down in this. Pretty frequently when I go to the range, or about once a month or so, I try to chart my distances. I generally like to keep track of my carry distances, but I always make sure I have my overall rollout and everything. So total distance, keep track of all that. It's always a good reference point, especially since your swing is always changing. If you're trying to change different aspects or a whole new swing or whatever, it's always good to keep track of charting your distances. Fairways and regulations, sand saves, greens and regulations, as well as how many putts I keep track of either in a notepad or on the scorecards, and I transfer it over later. It will tell you the weakest part of your game that you need to improve on. There's a lot of times that I find that the rest of my game will be spot on, but I will 3-putt everything. It's a nice reminder to go back and try to work on certain things. Golf sleeves, I always have 2 of these external sleeves, sorry, because I like to have easy access to be able to grab a ball, especially if I just shank one off the tee and it goes out into, 7th dimension, or decides to take a detour and go out towards Pacific or whatever. It's nice to have a ball offhand to be able to just grab, throw down a new one. Or if I'm just doing like a practice round or just for funsies, if I really chunk a shot or whatever, I can just grab one, throw it down real fast, hit that second shot without any of the pressure or thought to prove to myself, hey, you can do it. Generally, whatever ball I am fielding that day, I will have 6 of them in these sleeves, just so I have easy access to whatever I have. Golf tees. Whether you believe them or not, I personally don't. The 4 yards more, 7 yards more, 11 yards, whatever, I don't believe in any of that stuff. I play zero friction tees purely for one reason. Dollar per dollar, these are the most durable tees that I've been able to find. Granted, the 3 prongs are a little bit of a pain to get it to balance if the prongs start to get worn out. I generally like to go and use it as an alignment aid to put the 1 prong facing towards the direction I want to hit, which allows me to help line up the rest of it for the ball, so I have a view of impact and so on and so forth with all that. I could go into breakdown of why I do all that stuff in a later video, especially on marking balls. These just are so durable. I have tees that I've had for over 10 years that I still play because they're that durable. One of the latest improvements that I've thrown in my bag, yes, I consider it an improvement because I have been marking off yardages either just by walking them off of your standard painted markers in the fairway, line on the cart path, the candy cane post that's in the middle of the fairway saying it's 150 yards, whatever. If the course is fancy enough to have the sprinkler heads, I pace it off for yardages, and that tells me how far things are. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do that. It does help out with consistency and accuracy as well as focus on your next shot. This thing is going to be great because I could actually get a readout on different yardages that are very questionable, as well as the best feature that I'm most excited to use on this one is the slope feature. This will actually tell you the distance based on slope. I'm so excited about that because there's been a number of par 3s that I've been on that says it's about 150 yards. Elevation difference is 30 yards. Well, questionable in conditions what I should be hitting. This should eliminate the whole questioning and thought process behind that. Really excited to go and give this a shot. Aside from the driver, the one thing that everybody wants to know, what's in your bag? What's your golf ball? I actually used to play 3 different golf balls depending on course and weather condition. I used to play either the Srixon XB or the McGregor Tourney. Once upon a time, they were made in the same factory. It was basically a Z-Star that was relabeled. I used to play the TaylorMade TP3 or Callaway HX Soft, which was also another 3-piece tour ball, or the longest running golf ball I've had in my bag ever since they came out, the Wilson Staff Zips. I understand these are not the same zips that they used to be, as these are 2-piece, not 3-piece. But at the same exact time, this is still hands down my favorite ball of all time. You don't get the green side spin that you do out of other tour balls, but honestly, I can't say I've gotten a 4-iron to actually spin back like I have out of a zip. These things will stick any green on iron shots that I've actually tried. You're not going to get the backup, you get that nice hop and stop performance that I actually prefer, as well as they're cheap, they're forgiving, they feel great. It's just, in my opinion, it's one of the best balls that's ever existed, and I really hope that Wilson does continue to bring back another one similar to this. I used to also prefer to play the Wilson Staff C25s. Those are fantastic balls too. It was basically the original 3-piece zip replacement. Z-Star XBs, again, when Golfsmith had the McGregor Tourneys, they were less than $20 a dozen. Same exact thing as a Z-Star, made in the same factory. It just had a McGregor logo on it. And boy, did I fall in love with those things, which once they were discontinued, I had to bite the bullet and start spending the money to actually get the real Z-Stars. I like the flight, the distance, the spin, everything out of the Z-Stars of any other ball. I have tried any of them that I possibly could get my hands on. Just, I can't get over the performance was perfect for what I was looking for in my game. More than enough green side spin. I like to get it to hop and stop. I don't really care that much for the backup. These can if you really want to on your short game. But for the overall performance, this does what you want for a 2-piece ball with 3-piece performance and accuracy and control. Golf towel. One of the most overlooked important pieces of your bag. You should always have a decent quality or a good quality towel that you could clean off your golf gloves and golf balls with. I like to soak a corner of it when I start the round out, so I actually have a moist surface to be able to go and wipe down the club face, get the dirt out, get the grass, whatever. Just because maintaining your equipment is of utmost importance, especially if you're trying to score lower and score better. Having a towel inside your bag is probably the best thing you can do just to help your game out in cleaning out your grooves. Speaking of cleaning out your grooves, always have a brush with you. I ripped out the brass out of it because I hate the fact that it would go and stick to your towel and start ripping it up, or it gets stuck on the bag or whatever. And I don't like the brass bristles on some of these club faces because they have micro etched grooves in them and stuff. I try to keep longevity of whatever I have. Nylon bristles are more than enough for what you need to go and clean out the grooves, and sometimes you can use it to scrape out whatever's in your cleats. Have a brush, have a towel, take care of your equipment. Golf glove. I have preference on softer gloves, but for the most part, I generally have 2 gloves in my bag. One is my practice and range glove that I will just use and abuse, and I have another one that's my actual play glove. I try to have a good maintained glove for when I'm actually on the course, that I don't have to worry about having holes in it or weird bumps and hard spots from sweat or whatever. Got to take care of your hands, got to make sure you got a grip on the glove. Good quality glove helps you actually grip it without death gripping it. Marking utensils. I always have at least 2 types of marking utensils in my bag. Like to have a pen for my notepad or a golf pencil or something, and a Sharpie. I always have a red Sharpie for placing red dots on my golf ball. That's how I generally like to mark it as a reference point. I'll do a video later on explaining my whole reasoning, theory, and idea behind marking golf balls. Last bit of equipment that's not necessarily in the bag or on the bag, on your clubs. From my understanding, there's a pretty big swinging debate going on right now with criticism of other people running club head covers. Look, golf's not cheap, clubs are not cheap, your car's not cheap. You're gonna take care of your investments, right? If you're spending $1,200 on a set of irons or $500 plus on your driver, why not cover them, protect them? Aside from using your towel and your brush to clean out your grooves, take care of them, when you get home, use a little bit of dish soap and your nylon brush, clean them up, take care of it. And when you're actually out running around, use club head covers. The steel is the same as the ones next to it. It has enough hardness to scratch and damage the faces of them. It's not that you're being embarrassed about hiding your equipment, take care of it. I have clubs that are over 10 years old and are still in pretty immaculate condition aside from hitting out of sand. Club head covers are also a very important thing in general because I can't tell you how many times this 6 or a 9 kind of messes me up. I get set up to go and hit an amazing 6-iron shot, only to realize it went 40 yards short because, oh damn, I just hit my 9-iron instead. There's nice little markers and reminders of it. Bag itself. Okay, this one's a little bit of a new one. I got it for several different reasons. This is the Ping Hoofer 2.0, I believe. Reason I ended up buying this one, aside from the fact that I am ex-Army, I do like the fact that it's got the Velcro to put your pouches on it. I know, good old veteran mentality there. But it's a combination of, it's relatively light for what it is. It is a stand bag as well as a cart bag. My last one was a Sun Mountain, and then I went to an OGO. I believe that's how you say it, is OGO. Anyways, they were the lightest bags that you could possibly get, but I found the legs on them weren't really durable. They would get smashed because if you go and jump on a cart and strap down pretty good, it doesn't quite like the abuse. So I went with the Hoofer because you get the combination of the space and storage of a cart bag, but get the great, nice lightweight mobility of a carry bag. Well, this is everything that I currently have at the moment. There are some things in here that are experiments. There are some things in here I really plan on exchanging out down the line. Hopefully, if you want to see down the line of part of my journey of returning back to golf, as well as my trying to improve my game, gives you inspiration or ideas of how to help and improve your game, or let alone just go out and enjoy it. So, keep your ball out in the fairway. Have a good one.